So, ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to Amanda Wyss Scifi.
I can't believe you came.
Of course they came, you are here.
Thank you.
Well, Amanda, I just told the audience that they can raise a hand, wave it a lot so we can see them, and perhaps we can get the microphone out and ask some questions.
Okay.
But before that, I would like to try and start, like, kind of from the beginning.
Okay.
Because I did some research before this interview, and I heard two different stories of how your career started. One was you were discovered by playing Rhoda Penmark in The Bad Seeds, and the other is that you were discovered by playing Fiora in The Innocents, both of them in an LA theater. Which one is correct?
They both are to some degree. I did a William Inge play called The Innocents, which is a spooky play, which was sort of like a forebearer of my spooky movies. But I did that when I was 11 years old, and I got really good reviews, and so the next year I did The Bad Seed, which is also, there's a great scary movie called The Bad Seed. And an agent saw me and signed me, and then that's how I started. When I first started out, I did a lot of television commercials for like McDonald's, Pepsi, Starburst candy, Jordache jeans. So I did a lot of like teenage girl eating fast food, basically, were my commercials.
Yeah, talking about commercial and your interest of acting, when did it really start? Was it during school time, or was it prior to that, or?
When I was a little girl, I wanted to be a lawyer. That was my goal. I was going to go to school and be a lawyer, and then I did the two plays. I was in 6th grade and 7th grade, maybe junior high, young, 11 and 12. And I thought, oh, this is fun. And then I started doing commercials as a teenager, and I thought, well, I'll just play a lawyer. I'm going to be an actor. So it was not a very good choice. Probably should have gone to school to be a lawyer and then become an actor, but I went straight for the acting.
Yeah, and we are thankful for that, of course. And talking about, once again, let's continue with acting and in your youth. One of your first credits was as Laura in the Buck Rogers. And I heard that you loved the series, even prior to participating in it. But I'm curious, how do you manage to do all the acting while still in high school?
Well, you have to do all your schoolwork on the set, so it's not quite so fun. So you memorize your lines, you shoot, you have to spend a certain amount of hours each day with the set teacher, and you have to then turn in all that schoolwork. So you're released to go film, but only if you comply and do all of your schoolwork. So you have to, really want to do it.
Yeah, and talking about Buck Rogers, Jill Gerard, who portrayed Buck, you're friends today, right? You're still friends
With
Jill Gerard, who played Buck?
Oh no, no, not him, but I am friends with Aaron,
Ah.
who's also an agent for these conventions.
Ah.
Erin Gray, who was on Buck Rogers, she and I have stayed friends, but not Bill.
Okay. As you see, everything on the internet ain't true, right?
That's right.
And let's talk about, still in the beginning of your career, you won the Best Young Award for your portrayal of Cindy Scott in She Drinks a Little. And, I mean, how much does an award affect you in such an early phase of your career?
Well, it didn't really, it didn't enhance anything, but it was exciting. And did you guys, did after school specials play in Sweden? Do you know?
I think so.
So they, in the States, they had these things, they don't make them anymore, but they were called after school specials, and they were movies geared towards young teens, but they came on at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon after school, and they were kind of special, and they quit doing them, but yeah, that's what I won the award for. So it kind of like went under the radar. I thought it was a big deal, but yeah, people were like, whatever.
Yeah, and talking about awards, you were awarded the Best Actress honors at the Santa Monica International Film Festival for your portrayal of Karen Fernald in the short film October 23. What can you tell us about that?
Oh my gosh, this is such a scary movie. It's called October 23, and it's based on true events. October 23rd. Did I say October 23? Oh my gosh. And anyway, if you ever get a chance to see it, it's a short film. I think it's like 20 minutes and some change. But it's really scary. And yeah, we won a couple things at that film festival, and it was really exciting because it's a really good film. And I had hoped that they were going to make it into a full-length feature because it's really good and creepy. As a lot of things based on true events are sometimes scarier than the things we make up, I think.
Yeah, I saw it actually. Prior to this interview, and when it says based on true events, I was like, oh no.
Did you like it?
It was creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil too much,
Oh, yeah.
but it was creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's on YouTube, so you can just have a look at it if possible. Before I continue, do you have any questions from the audience? Otherwise, I have a few myself. Yeah, we have one. Yeah, right in the front there.
How did you film Tina's death scene in The Nightmare on Elm Street?
In the death scene? Is that...
Yeah, how did you film Tina's death scene?
Oh my gosh. You know what? When we were making that, obviously, I think everybody has heard like that it was a very low budget film for the time, or for any time actually. And so obviously my death scene was all practical effects. And so, it was a room built in a large sound stage up on a fulcrum. You had to climb a ladder to get into it. And then there was crewmen who literally just turned a crank and the room spun around. And so I was always on the floor. The cameraman was strapped to the wall along with my boyfriend Rod. And so we had to rehearse and rehearse and rehearse this because once I bled on the wall, we didn't have more wallpaper or, that was it. And so we rehearsed it a lot. And so it was challenging and exciting. And I got vertigo in the room, and I truly thought I was falling, and I was on the floor the whole time. I was literally screaming because I thought I was gonna fall from the ceiling to the floor. And there's a picture of Wes Craven stopping the room and poked his head through the window on the floor to try to show me that I was on the floor and that I was not falling from the ceiling. And I did not believe him. And I just continued to scream. And I told him to crouch down because we were both gonna fall from the ceiling to the floor. And at that point he said, oh my goodness, I need to get this child out of this room because my inner ear just left the building. And I was so dizzy and so frightened. So a lot of those screams were me literally thinking I was going to fall to my death in a scene when I was on the floor. So I was very glad when we finished the scene, but we also knew we made something, I don't know, scary, something tragic.
Yeah, and talking about Tina, I also heard that you first auditioned for Nancy. Is that correct as well?
It is. I wanted the role of Nancy so badly, and Wes was having none of it. I read my heart out for the role of Nancy, and apparently I don't have the hero archetype. I have the you're gonna be murdered archetype. So I was like, oh, so when I got called back for Tina, I literally talked with Wes Craven in the callback and told him how much I didn't want the part. I wanted the lead. He must have thought I was just a lunatic. And but then he talked to me about how he's like, no, we're gonna make people think you're the lead, and then we'll kill you. I was like, okay. But I was like, why can't I be Nancy? It's just like, you're just not. I was like, wah.
And talking about getting credit for what you did, I also heard that you weren't allowed to put the credit for the Elm Street on your resume for like 10 years. How come?
Okay, so my agents sent me the script for Nightmare on Elm Street. They sent me the audition, but when I got offered the part, they forbade me to do it because they said it would be the end of my career. Nobody did horror. I was gonna do something else. And after talking with Wes Craven, I just wanted to do the movie, so I did it. They proceeded to forbid me to put it on my resume. They forbid me doing any press or talking about it, and then they dropped me on top of that. But then my next agent wouldn't let me put it on my resume either. And finally, I grew up enough to have more self-determination. I put it on, and it was a great source of conversation. Everybody loves horror, and they just didn't, and it was a great, I think I got many television roles specifically because of Nightmare on Elm Street. I recurred on a show. Do you get CSI here?
Yeah.
So I recurred as a serial killer that sort of dressed like Farrah Fawcett. And they offered it to me and named the character Tina because the writers were all fans of Nightmare on Elm Street. So that was kind of fun, you know, and I think there's been a couple times that I show up to work and my character magically changes to Tina. It happens often and they're like, wink, wink, we love the movie. I'm like, okay. So I realized in my career I play a lot of Beths, like Better Off Dead, Cheers, so many television episodics. I'm Beth, or I'm Lisa, or I'm Tina, all the time. I don't know.
And talking about loving the Elm Street merchandise or franchise, in the film Better Off Dead and the school dance scene,
Yes.
you know where I'm going, right?
Yes.
Is that an Easter egg or is it just a coincidence?
Okay, so anybody here has seen a movie, a teen movie I did called Better Off Dead. It's a comedy, it's very funny. It's a dark comedy. For years, people have asked me, a student walks by in the Freddy Krueger sweater behind me. And I have for years said that it was just a coincidence. I was at a film festival with the director like 2 years ago. So, very long time I was incorrect. I said, you know what, isn't it a funny coincidence that the kid walking behind me has on a Freddy Krueger sweater? Because it's not a coincidence. Our costume designer was friends with the costume designer from Nightmare on Elm Street, and they knew I went straight from Nightmare on Elm Street to film Better Off Dead, and they were like, wouldn't it be funny? He wears this crazy sweater in this little horror film called Nightmare on Elm Street. You should have somebody wear the sweater. And so it's a full-on Easter egg, and I have forever told everybody it was a coincidence, but it was a real thing that they put in there, and I think they might have even borrowed the sweater to do it. I don't know that part for sure, but yeah, it's super funny, and yeah, everybody caught it but me. Yeah.
Well, thank you for explaining that it was actually a planned Easter egg. And talking a bit about your career, because as I said, we had 20 minutes, it goes that fast. And we need to talk about what's happening, because in June last year, the film Iron Nest of the Moon was released, and you portray Stevie. What can you tell us about that?
It's a really freaky, I haven't seen the whole thing, so I can't, but it's really freaky and I think fun, and I really like the filmmaker. Yeah, so it's Iron Nest of the Moon. I play a ghoul, a killer, who gets killed, because that's what I do. I think it's good, and then the other thing there's another really fun, really creepy movie I did that I'm really proud of. If you get a chance to see it, it's called The Id. The name is stupid. It should be called Meredith. Everybody calls it The ID. It's The Id. about the id, the ego, the superego. And it's really creepy, and it's the best role I've ever had, and I loved making it. So if you get the chance to see it, I think you'll be equally creeped out. It's very creepy, and you know, surprise, I'm creepy in it, so it's be my thing. But so those two things, Iron Nest of the Moon, which I can't vouch for because I haven't seen the whole thing. The id, love it, and another Western called Badland. They're all streaming, and if you like Westerns, I tend to get into Westerns, so even though my full-on love is sci-fi, nobody ever cast me in it, ever. I tried, nobody wants me.
I mean, you've done so many things, so I think they know what they're in for. And I would love to go on, but our time is up. And if you guys in the audience have more questions for Amanda, don't hesitate to come by a table, ask everything you want to know.
If you want to come over to my table, I'll chat with you. What's your name?
Dylan.
Can we take his question?
Yeah, we can
What's
take
your
his question, of course. Can't see the microphone.
Can you explain more?
Amanda explains it all. Well, you know what? I think you need to come over to my table and I'll chat with you about whatever you'd like. Okay? It's just right out there. That was a great question, but we don't have enough time for me to answer that. Okay? You're awesome.
Well, thank you so much, Amanda, and a big round of applause for Amanda Wyss.